everyone, I'm Iara Diaz, founder of IKKIO, AI assistant for smart glasses, bridging the accessibility gap. And I'm here in this panel, joined by Per, Hannes, and Matt. And we're going to discuss, the panel theme is Nordic paths to growth. And then we have different paths to growth here, so we're going to discuss this a little bit. But first, let's have a round of introduction. So if you could tell, your name and briefly what your company do, we can start from you.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, my name is Per Emanuelsson. Per, like the pear you eat or something like that. P-E-R. I have kind of hear so many different versions of that when I'm out. But anyway, so yeah, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Soundtrap. We are one of the market leaders when it comes to making music in the cloud. So think about it as Google Docs, but for music. So it's collaborative, making music from any device directly in the browser. And we've been around for 12, 13 years or something. And yeah, we're going to maybe talk a little bit more of that later. But yeah, that's we. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. So my name is Hannes Andersson, and I'm the CEO and a partner at the audio plugin company Oeksound. We're based out of here in Helsinki. We've been around for a little bit over 9 years. Yeah, and so yeah, we make audio plugins. They work in all the major DAWs, not in Soundtrap, but yeah, we've had a good run, and it's a B2C model. You can think of it as e-commerce. We sell perpetual licenses to users, and they get tools that they can use when making music.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Connors, CEO of Reactional Music, and we bring popular music into video games. We have a large catalog of rights-cleared music with over 50 labels that have signed up with their music, and we also have technology that integrates the music into the game. So when you bring a track in, a commercial track, it will synchronize the events in the game to that track. And so you can hot swap. The idea is eventually to be able to have players choose their own music in a B2C or as an incentive for engagement retention. And we're also working on the user acquisition side, so helping bring new people to the video games.
Cool, thank you. So I noticed, so the three of you serve like different customer segments. So I'd like to dive into that a little bit. So if you can explain, some of you, like it's a kind of B2B, B2C at the same time. Some are more like B2C as well. And then there's the B2B layer or potential future licensing. So what are the differences, the trade-offs? Sometimes as a founder, perhaps it's easier when you go to market to have like a pilot with B2B customers than getting a bunch of consumers. But what's your opinion on that?
Should I start? Yeah. So we started as a B2C play only. It's always been a freemium product. So you just sign up, you can use it forever with kind of limited features, and then you scale up and buy some premium plans and get more loops and sounds and so on. But we always kind of, I'm a musician and techie myself, and that's the same for most people that work in Soundtrap. But when we looked at the DAW market, when we launched, we identified like 3 problems. So the first problem was that if you open up a traditional DAW, it's like going into a cockpit or an airplane. And the problem with that is that they're shutting out so much of the market. So most musicians that are good at singing or playing the guitar or the bass, they're not engineers, which means that just doing the tools in that way is shutting out most of the market. So when we're doing market kind of research on that, we see like the number of musicians out there is enormous, and the number of people who would like to do music is enormous, but the number of people that have the skill to operate a tool like that is very few. So that was the first problem we tried to address. The second one was that when you those are downloadable software. You need to have it on a computer. If you don't have a computer with you, you can't continue your creative process. Whereas, like, if you do it in the cloud, you can just pick it up wherever you are. You're in school, you're at your parents' place, your friend's place, you just continue. And the third problem was that if you look at music making, it's different than other art forms. Take writing a book, painting a painting, you typically do it alone, whereas music, you typically do together, right? You're good at singing, but not playing the guitar. You're good at bass, but not playing the drums. So why were then the tools made as single-user environments? That didn't really make sense, we thought. Like, so could we make something that is much easier to use, but still powerful? Could we do it in the cloud? Could we do it collaborative? That's what we set out to do. And then we made it freemium, which means that everybody could sign up. So we get about 11,000 users signing up every day. So it's like a new sports arena coming in of users every day and just kind of use the premium product and then they're converting. So it's a premium-based model. But what also happened, and this was early on in our journey, we didn't actually count with that, was that since we made it so simple to use, kids started to love it, like really young kids, right? So they were down in 8, 9, 10 years, right? And they could use it on the Chromebooks. So Chromebooks have started to take over the education market in the US. They started to use it in school. And since it was collaborative, they can start to work together and work together with teachers. So we started to get a lot of users in the school system, where they started to use Soundtrap in class, but those kids were also using it outside class. They actually brought it to their teachers and showed it. And we didn't really realize that, and we didn't monetize it at all. We said, like, you can use it, it's a premium kind of consumer product, but you're not made for you. But then we started to get awards, like the best website for teaching and learning in the whole of US 2014. And we're like, okay, we don't have an education product. So then we started to get serious about that and say, okay, if this really should work in the education space as well, what do we need to add? And then this was back in 2015. Then we said, like, it needs to be secure to work in a school environment. You can't kind of collaborate with anyone in the world. It needs to be locked down to the school site. It needs to be integrated with all the rostering systems they have so they can pour in tens of thousands of students in the right class structures and so on. So we started to add all that. And then also the pricing model. They can't pay like $10 per month for a kid, but they can pay $5 per year for a kid, and they can pay for everyone instead of having a freemium model. So then we added a B2B model to it. So it's basically exactly the same product with some educational layers on top of the main studio to be integrated, but with a different business model for the B2B side. So it's still the same creator in the bottom. We have 75% of our users are Gen Z users, and they are in school as well. So it's the same user in the kind of fundamentally, but it's two different people paying for it. So yeah. So and that's been kind of working for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Our target audience has always been the pro recording and mixing engineer. We always start from there, and we still always start from there. Now, on the B2B versus B2C axis, those are quite funny cases because usually they're freelancers that own their own business that buy our tools, but they're actually, in your eyes or in other businesses' eyes, you can consider them as customers. So it's like B2C. We do, of course, also do licensing or sell licenses to movie companies or game companies and all of these. So, but it's such a small part of our audience that it doesn't really, we don't really have to think about that too much. What was I supposed to say? So back when we started, that was our target audience, but we quickly became quite popular. And I think there's kind of a lesson to be learned there that I hope other people also take away, is that when you target that pro segment, and then you have these aspiring musicians, aspiring producers, aspiring engineers, and they look up to certain people. They look up to the professionals. They look up to the Grammy winners. So if you have targeted the Grammy winners and make sure you have a product that they love, you've made sure you've asked them all the right questions, you've validated every feature of your plugin, and if they love it, then you're good. You don't even have to ask what the bedroom producer thinks about it, because the bedroom producer is still they're gonna change their mind about what kind of plugins they use every second week. But the professional engineer, they're gonna stick with the tools that they know and that work for them for years and years. And I also wanted to mention Soundtrap here because I've been a teacher in music technology and I've used Soundtrap, and I think that's like one of the best entry levels into this space is Soundtrap by far. It's one of the most easiest DAWs to learn. It's the best way to get into the scene, and then after a while, and we're at that point when, okay, you now know what a DAW is. Oh, thank you. And it's, so when you get to a point where you know what a DAW is, you know what a plugin is, so it's kind of like these APIs that run within another program, and then you know what an EQ is, okay, you know what a dynamic EQ is, okay, now you might want to learn what a dynamic resonance suppressor is, and then you come to us. So, I mean, there's a lot of levels to go through before you even get to the point where you would actually need our product. But that niche that we selected and that when we targeted this Grammy tier engineer level, that worked for us perfectly.
I think I've got a pretty simple answer, although I'm going to be quite honest. I think when the company first started, the main prize that we were after was allowing the 3 billion gamers to choose their music, and we get a revenue share on that. So I think that was the early excitement about the company. In order to be able to make that happen, we had to build professional tools. And I think we got a little lost in that over the years. And what so even though ultimately we want players, B2C, to choose music, and that's how we make a lot of money, we have to start out with B2B. We have to prove ourselves to the decision makers at video game publishers. And they're not the sound professionals who love our really whizzy tech. But the decision maker at a game publisher is extremely risk averse, short on time, and unless you can show them the data, they're not interested. So right now we're very focused on B2B, and we believe that that's going to lead us to our B2B to C.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. It sounds also like you're both going to have a partnership maybe soon. Yeah, we're going to discuss later. And so now going to the funding part, right? It's like we have some very interesting cases here, like bootstrapped, like acquired customers right on. Also raised quite substantial amount of funds also early on to get the growth going. And also we have an interesting case of someone that got acquired and then bought the company back as well, which for me is like a fantastic story as well. So maybe we can start with that one. It's like being acquired and then buying it back. And what would you do different? And why did you want to buy it back? You couldn't sleep anymore, like without thinking, like I need to be a founder again or something. But yeah,
yeah, that's parts of it. No, yeah. So we were doing the general kind of normal, taking in angel money, some VC capital early on, 2015 or something. Then we got acquired by Spotify, which was like we started doing BizDev together, and kind of one thing ended up in another. And we were also actually, yeah. It was a good fit for many reasons, and we had fantastic 6 years of Spotify. We were quite small when we got acquired, and grew the company fantastically within the Spotify organization. So I have just good things to say about those years, and we learned tons. And we learned like Spotify is maybe the best in the world of doing consumer subscriptions, freemium subscriptions. So since we were doing the same business model, like there's no one better to learn from. So we learned all the tricks of the trade there. They're also really, really good at organizing large product organizations. So we learned a lot about kind of how to run product in a good way. Those were, I think, the two main things that really we took away from that journey. When we kind of acquired the company back in 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years now, we also thought that we will be able to run much faster as a leaner, smaller, focused kind of org again, and that proven to be the case as well. So even though we learned very much during those years and grew the company a lot, eventually we saw that we will be able to run faster and more focused as a standalone company. And yeah, it's been, and also actually, as you say, like being the founder truly, it has a lot of obviously more stress and kind of less sleep and all that. But it's also the incentive is very, very different. It's really, really inspiring to run it again. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very inspiring. And yeah, once you're being bitten by the bug of being a founder, right? You suffer, but still somehow you're always coming back to it, I guess. And then, oh, sorry. Then to you, like to Matt raised funds as well, quite a lot of money. So it was already something from the get-go that you realized that you needed that. When you realize of the business model that you're going and you go to market, or was it accidental thing that people were like throwing money at you and you?
Yeah, first of all, I met the founders. I'm not the founder of the company. I met the founders when they first started, and it was this really cool technology developed by a composer, amazing stuff. And when you saw it, you got really excited. And I think that's how they got their first funding from Almi. So that's how it started. The guys on the team are a really unique mix of everybody's, a highly trained musician and they're a developer. And so I don't think that they kind of followed the path, like what they thought they needed to do, and they raised money. And I think, to be honest, I think it was a bit of a mistake, because then they got in a position where they were getting a lot of advice from the people that they took money from. And they tended to make them run around and, add a price, take the price away, chase this. I got brought in last fall because they had interest from the automotive industry. And I had experience from that from a previous company that I sold. And so I think, my advice to everybody here, it would be try to establish your product, at least the fit, at least build some demand for your product, if you can, before you start going out and taking significant amounts of money. It's not possible for everybody to do that, but I mean, I envy people that have done that, because you have a lot more flexibility and a lot less opinions coming in from people that really aren't working with it day to day. But we've taken 7 million to date, and I think just in the last few months we've found our fit, and so now we've got quite a decent organization which we have to support, and we've had to cut a little bit, and so it's a challenge. Take money when you need it. Know why you need it.
Yeah, that's a very good point also, because it's a marriage, right? It's like a partnership that you get into, and someone starts giving opinions about your day-to-day product, perhaps. So that's actually what we're doing in our company. We got to a point, now we're raising, but we built a lot of it before raising. But I kind of like envy also the cases that you get customers right on start paying, so you have revenue, which is the case that we have here as well with Hannes. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is a very inspiring story that I get to tell a lot, and I hope people do take away from it. I am not the founder of Oeksound. Olli Keskinen, my dear friend and study buddy, is the founder. He had the idea of the product on his own. Like, he thought about this and he thought that this should be possible on the DSP side. When I say DSP, I mean digital signal processing. Digital signal processing, and not the other thing you're thinking about. And so there was never an idea of building a company, right? There was only an idea of building a product. So Olli made the plugin, he made the copy protection back then, he made the website, the web store, all bootstrapped. He made the UI design, he made the website design, everything on his own. He put it out there and wrote something on the main forum for audio plugins. Hey, I made this thing, what do you think? And he dared to put the price at 150 euros, which was already back then quite a lot, because he actually believed in the idea, and thank God he did. And so a few months 4 months in actually, we had this conversation. He was like, oh, I need to fix these bugs, and also probably I should let more people know about this. And then I was like, well, you shouldn't be the one letting more people know about this. You should fix those bugs. You're the developer. And then he asked, we had this exact conversation 2 weeks later, and he was like, well, do you want to try? And I was like, sure, I can try. And my background, I'm an engineer, a recording and mixing engineer first, and nowadays I do a lot of production and songwriting, but I'm a fan of plugins. I don't have a business background, I don't have a marketing background, but what I do know is the plugin market. I know that like the back of my hand. And so I knew that I could help out, and then I knew exactly who the customers were, because, surprise, it was me. And so I just kept selling, or actually not even selling, because in our case, I've never used the CTA, the call to action, buy anywhere, in any marketing material, because you don't have to. In our space, you can have people try out the plugin for free for 20 days, and then you can give them another trial and another trial. So kind of a freemium in that sense. But it's just the integrity you show by having people just believing in the product so much and showing everyone how much you believe in it, and just being like, if you need this, you know where to find it. But I'm never going to ask you to buy our plugin, because that should be your decision, not mine. And that's kind of like where it all started. And now we were talking about growth and how the teams have grown. So I think Olli's own company that he started back then was profitable maybe after 1 or 2 weeks. And we've been profitable since then. And every time I got added as a need, when the need arose, he asked me for help. When I identified a need, I asked for help, and we got a new team. Now we're 20 people, and we've never like strived for growth. And I think that has to do with the same thing, that we've never actually strived to be a company. We've always tried to just make products. So that's the end that we always have in mind. It's a bit weird to always be in these events when people are kind of like wanting money, from others, and then I sit here and be like, well, we made a thing and people liked it.
I love that.
That's usually also a very, very valid way to go, and it's a possible way to go.
Yeah, so capture the customer. Also, like, then you don't have to, because for your case specifically, investors wouldn't like that you have a perpetual license, for instance. So if you got like VC money, you wouldn't have this sort of business model that you have right now. But you're serving the customers, so you're profitable. It's super valid, So I guess the core thing is like, check your ideal customer profile and then what would make sense for them in terms of monetization. And then you don't need to hear perhaps so much like investor advisement if you're able to monetize early on and build a profitable business, you're good, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe you, Pat, have some numbers on this, but I think thanks to platforms like Soundtrap, the amount of people entering this space per year is insane. The amount of new music makers, how this business is growing is crazy. And so we don't need a subscription, because the amount of people just like flowing into this market is so huge. So we don't have to think about that, because the market is growing so fast. And you mentioned the perpetual thing. Another thing that people don't know or talk about is we have this model. When we noticed that these bedroom producers became interested and that our audience had grown massively to these people that weren't even our target audience, we wanted to give them an option to be able to get access to our plugin, and we went with the rent-to-own model. So we do a rent-to-own model, which means that you get to rent our plugin, you get to stop at any point and continue at any point, and when you've paid the full amount, you get a perpetual license. It's yours for the rest of time. And I think that's, again, is a way of communicating integrity and that you believe in the product, that you can stop at any time. We don't need more of your money if you don't actually use our plugin.
So yeah, I have some data points on that. So we did a big survey in the US. This was a couple of years ago, but it hasn't changed kind of fundamentally, where we asked 13,000 individuals. So that's a very large group. And they didn't know that they were talking to us. Like, it was a research company doing the research. And I think we asked about 100 questions. It was like a big survey. But the two main questions that we started with, like our screening question, whether we then asked them another 100 questions. The first one was something on the line like, have you made music in any way, kind of sing in a choir, kind of played your guitar, made edited music, and so forth in the last 12 months. And in the population of 15 to 45-year-old people, 30% said yes to that question, right? And then we asked, when they said yes to that, okay, have you made and edited music digitally the last 6 months? So very specific, 16% of the population. So it's like, maybe people think, like, I think it was on the panel now, the last panel, like, there's this top artist here, right? There's very few of the top artists that are making all the streams. And then people have this idea about that. You have this small artist pool, and you have this huge pool of listeners. But what they don't see is that there is this huge pool of creators behind those artists, which are just doing music for fun. Like, they're doing it because they like to play tennis, and they also like to do music, right? And those are consumers as well. They buy the creator products. So, like, if you focus on the top artists only for your products, then you're targeting on a way too small market.
True. Yeah. And then since we're in the panel about music industry, right, in the music tech, there is like some a big value chain in that. And I guess the biggest challenge for me that I see, it's for you, like licensing for gaming and so on. So how do you navigate that? And maybe we also get back from like this Nordic resilience and persistence and trust. Can you tap into that as well when talking to publishers and all the stakeholders that you need to in that format? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start with persistence. You have to have persistence. It's I think one of the things the company has done really well is convinced labels or rights holders that this is a big opportunity, and they've come up with a new kind of license that's neither sync nor mechanical. So pretty impressive what the team has done when I wasn't there. However, it turns out that really my advice is to generate the demand first. What we're finding is that if you go to a game, you know, these games are so data-driven. So if you look at the demographics of the game, and you look at the music that you have rights to, and you match the music and you bring it to them rather than coming and saying, look, we got this gigantic catalog. It's like a kitchen sink. They don't know what to do with it. But you're coming in very specifically and you're showing them music that would fit really well with their audience or that would help acquire new players. So it's really, I think we're finding that it's much better to pick out the music for them that would match and go to them. And also try to get rights, as we try to get more rights, to do that in the same way. To really look at it, like match it to the game.
All right, thank you. And well, we need to wrap this up. So let's perhaps give some important lesson when it comes to resilience, some Nordic values that you can give to founders or like people working in this difficult industry. Maybe like Per, you can start maybe like 30 seconds or whatever, briefly.
This is a long one. We always focus a lot on the team, like that are building the software. We don't really like the hierarchies type of, like, obviously you need management, good management structure. We've been really focusing on leadership as a key thing. And actually in the beginning, so we have this program, I don't know if it's around in Finland, but in the military there is a leadership program in Sweden that is called UGL, which is kind of development of groups and leaders, which is it's been around for 45 years. So it's a really, really good program. It's one of the best leadership courses you can take. And I went that when I was quite young, like 25 years ago or something. And my co-founder had taken it as well. And when we met, we kind of said like, that was the best training I've ever done. It kind of developed me so much. So we started to say like, all the managers that we employ, they need to take this course. And they need to take this training, right? And they came back as almost kind of changed individuals. They're like, this is the best thing I ever done. Like, not just professionally, it's the best thing I've done, like, in my life, right? And then they started to say that to a lot of other people that were working in the company, like, this was the best thing. And then all the people that weren't really managed said, I would like to do that as well. I would like to do that as well. So we ended up more or less kind of shipping everyone to this, which kind of created a very interesting culture where people are learning how to do leadership in the real way, not just any surposive way, like really, really good skills. When it comes to just core things like feedback, how do you give people feedback? How do you want to receive feedback? And how do you tell people that you're open for feedback? And like those core small things, they are building the culture that is creating trust and that is creating the
so
people.
be direct.
Exactly.
And
be very direct, be very honest, but also tell people they're doing really great stuff, but also be very frank when something is not working for you. Kind of the I message part, like, this is not working for me. I would rather like to see it like this, but it's your choice to kind of change that or not, right? And that thing has been a really important part that has built a lot of our culture in general. Like how to work with that strategically, or like maybe coincidence. That's just one thing. We can probably keep kind of going
I
about
think
this for a long time.
we can have this conversation at the mingling soon as well. So if you have, I'm sure like Hannes is a Finnish man, so he's gonna, wrap it up in 2 words probably. So if you can say something.
2 words. Product first. I think that's definitely the main one that I can.
Product first.
Yeah, that I can stand behind.
Good.
Before anything else, do have a reason why you exist, and do make a product that you would use yourself, please. That you would use daily. I mean, that's a very easy way to know if it works. And then, kind of like piggybacking off what Per said, just like surround yourself with people that care and are passionate.
Nice.
Last one, I would say getting everybody aligned around a vision or it's communication, but everybody knows that. I've never been in a company or heard of a company that didn't have a communication issue, no matter how small or large. And I think what I've tried to do is get every single person in the company to take ownership of what we're trying to do. So they need to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, what and what their role in it is. And so if you can do that, I think you'll get people to really.
All right, thank you. We will have to wrap up because there is a panel right after us. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the panelists and Singa and everyone organizing this as well.
And thank you.
Thank you.